Share screen. All right. Okay. No, I need the thumbnail to go away. No, I need to. All right, guys. We're gonna start out with. I don't need to guide this too much, but let's just go through it together. Everyone has a version of this, but y'all just have the top half. We're just doing nouns. We should probably do a verb version of this maybe next week because I know y'all are still iffy, Keaton, on your perfect tense endings. But I want you guys to add. What declension do y'all think y'all are going to need to add to this?
Fourth, first, second, and third.
All of them. Let's do third and fourth. If you think you can be, if you have like 4 different colored pens, and you also know yourself to not know the first or second declension even, then you should do the first and second if you can squeeze them in. But I mostly want y'all to focus on third and fourth. I'll flip that back over in just a second, and I have them all up in the next slide. But let me actually find out how much of the first and second we know. In my mind, Cora, everyone knows like all of the first and second declensions. But I remember when I was a lab student, even in my second year, y'all in your third, but it's the beginning of the third, I still was like, I would sometimes forget certain parts of it. So let's just go through. I'll skip the computer kids because this is Tuesday's video, and I'll make copies of this, of your version of this for you. Caden too, you need to bring your headphones. But let's just go through. Luke, first declension, I'm going to do it in red. Nominative singular, first declension, what is it? A. Yeah, it's A. I'm going to try to squeeze all of them in. I'm going to see if I can do it. Okay, Chloe, what is the nominative plural, first declension? Yeah, I get it. Y'all know this. We're going to get to one, and you're not going to know it. It's fine. I'm going in order. Sorry, Elena. Also, do you have the rest of your homework, maybe? Carly, what is the genitive singular? Yeah, it's AE. The nominative plural repeats. The genitive plural is what? Phoenix? Close. You're thinking of third declension. It's 2 more letters before the UN. No. Let's see, Lucy. Good. I'm glad you stumbled there, Phoenix, because otherwise I feel like I was maybe wasting my time. Elena, what is the dative singular?
So I forgot my backpack.
Okay.
At school yesterday.
So tomorrow. Bring it tomorrow so you can get some more points than you have. But what is the dative singular?
A.
Not just A, but
AE.
yes. So this is why I'm telling kids AE is my least favorite ending next to UM. UM becomes really problematic very quickly too. But AE right off the bat, we don't like it. It's not fun. There's too much of it. But usually it actually isn't too hard to differentiate the different AEs. Keaton, what is the dative plural? I'm going to do quad. This will make it too busy. I don't really recommend this. See how you do with first and second before you decide to write first and second on your chart. But if you know that you want all of them and you know that you can fit them all, then do it.
IS.
Yeah, it's IS. Get it. It's IS. See, this is already getting a little crowded. See, now it just looks like an Excel spreadsheet. I don't like it. Okay, so it's it's a long I, so it's at east. Oh my gosh, I really don't like that. Okay, it's fine. Cora, what is the accusative singular? I love the accusative singular.
Oh, I know this.
By the way, computer people, I'm sorry, but we're just like, you're looking at a screen of all the declensions up, but we're using the whiteboard right now to go through them. So you can be making this chart while you listen to this. Cora?
I know this. It's like
my favorite inning. How could you forget it? Parker?
AM.
It's AM.
Oh, that's right. I know that.
Like ante-meridian, before the middle of the day. The part of the day we're in right now. It's my favorite one. It doesn't repeat anywhere. I love it. What is the accusative plural? Where am I? I'm kind of on Luke. Yeah. It's A again, but then it ends in a letter that we use to make things plural a lot of the time, Chloe. We use, Yeah, S, good. We use S to make things plural in English. All right, we're almost done with first. Carly, what is the ablative singular? Yeah, I like that one too. That one's really distinct. That doesn't show up anywhere else. Phoenix, what is the ablative plural? IS, so same as dative plural. And then the vocatives, who really is it? It's the nominatives. Okay, let's do, yeah.
I thought ablative was AE.
Ablative was AE. Oh wait, what? What do you mean?
I
Ablative.
thought the ablative for
No, it's the same as the dative plural. So AE shows up here, here, and here, and if I ignore vocative, that's it. It's in those 3 places and out of the vocative too. So it is like in 4 places, but it's not. Ablative is more distinct. We like ablative and first declension more than the dative because the dative has this nasty overlap. Long IS, ablative plurals and dative plurals are always basically the same. That never poses too much of a problem. You can usually tell when you're looking for an indirect object versus an object of a Latin preposition. Let me actually write out the cases. I think that would be helpful. It makes it look less like a random Excel spreadsheet. Accusative. Y'all can abbreviate if you actually fully know the word. If you don't fully know the word, you should write it out. All right, let's see how we do a second declension. Let's just do masculine first, and then we'll do the neuter gender DLC packs on top of that. Where was I? I was kind of on Phoenix, maybe. Lucy, what is the nominative? I'll do it to the right for second declension. Yeah, U.S. Think of United States. First declension starts with the first letter of the alphabet, A. Second declension, it's our country, it's U.S. Or maybe it's a certain other country on the other side of the world. Huh? Yeah, as in like, you can think, if you want to think of both of them as USSR, United Soviet States of Russia. Yeah, those are 2 options. We still only have Auger, Puer, and Weir ending in R. That's it. It's kind of weird. It's just those 3 nouns. The nominative plural is what, Elena? Yep, y'all know the first and second. But yeah, these endings show up in a lot of different contexts, a lot of adjectives. When we start to look at participles pretty soon, they're going to come up. So you need to know first and second really well. And it looks like y'all mostly do. Keaton, what is genitive singular?
Could be plural.
Well, what happened in first declension? We repeated the nominative plural. So we're probably going to do the same thing. So it's yeah. And what is the genitive plural? Good. Cora, what is the dative singular?
Isn't it like IS?
It's IS over here.
Okay.
Which, like, I don't know if y'all need to rewrite that. You know, on that thing, I do the thing where I like underline it, but I guess I'll just really spell them all out. No, it's a single vowel and it's long. What do you think it's gonna be?
You?
Not you.
No, I.
Not I. Because the long I, we're like done with the long I, basically. Elena?
Long.
Yes, long O. So we like the masculine dative singular a little more than the feminine first declension dative singular. Like, we hate that one. We're kind of okay with him. He does show up again here. But accusative singular, Parker, is what?
UM.
Yeah. So I do not like UM as much as AM. Like, it's cool when you just have chapter 3, but then everything after chapter 4, it just gets more and more complicated. The UM shows up in a weird amount of places. And then instead of AS, it is what, Luke?
OS.
OS. Ablative singular is what, Chloe? Yep, it's O again, and then it's long IS for the plural. Who cares about the vocatives? This is like the one time, though, I must say that the vocative is actually different than the noun. The US nouns will become E, but R will stay the same. All right, that's not bad. Now, third, this is where it's really going to get a little tricky. I want to use orange. Do I have an orange? I think of the third declension as like orange or yellow. We were on Carly, maybe? So Carly, this is almost a trick question. What is the third declension nominative ending? Almost a trick question. What could I mean by that? No, you're doing a fourth declension, neuter maybe. Elena? Right, it's like a math variable. It's like we don't know. But we reviewed ISTEM category, third declension nouns a few days ago. Those actually are very commonly IS. So if you can squeeze it in, maybe write IS, but if you're already getting crowded, don't worry about it. But it's IS is very common. Oh, you can, okay. See, I don't know. I think maybe you should be a guinea pig, and we should see if somebody can learn Latin just by sitting in a third year class. Who knows? Maybe it'll work. Maybe you'll lap Keaton and you'll know more words than him by the end of the semester. All right, this orange is a little pale, so I'll try to write a little better with it. But what is the nominative plural for third declension? That is consistent. We're on Lucy technically. Remember, third declension really likes I and it likes E a lot. Remember? Good. It's ES. Can y'all even see this orange or should I switch over?
I can see it.
I'm just gonna use black, I think. Okay. Now it looks like a Halloween thing. Okay, what is the genitive singular is really consistent. Elena, it's I. That is always IS, where the nominative is sometimes IS. Keaton, do you remember the genitive? This is the genitive plural I hate. Someone said it for like first declension. It's not aurum or aurum, it's just yeah, it's just and that's why I hate it. Okay. In certain words like tempus temporis, it will still look like it's aurum, but it's actually just and that's why like I hate the accusative retroactively because of this. Well, I don't like black; it blends in with the scaffolding. But okay, whatever. Fourth, we'll use purple. Dative. What is the dative third declension singular? Cora?
IS.
Not IS, just
I.
yeah. So think of like dropping the SOA from the genitive. You're close, good.
I meant to say I too.
Yeah. That dative, that's actually notable because a lot of the pronouns we have, for some reason, they get a long I in the dative. So really kind of think of that long I dative as just being like significant. It's relevant to other things outside of this declension. That a lot of the pronouns, right? Like eti, like to him. Remember, like to that wretched man we saw yesterday? That was the dative eti there. What is the dative plural? I like the dative plurals, Parker. Sounds like I don't know, sounds like the sound a frog would make, like in Russia. Have y'all ever looked at that? Like other countries, instead of saying like sheep say ba or like dogs say roof, they have their own weird.
I know. I've never
is,
looked at
it's
that.
so weird.
It's really interesting. I wish I could think of good examples, but I can't. But it'll be like weird things, like they think sheep go ma or something instead of ba, and like
I have a meme on like Russian ducks or something.
oh, is it Duolingo? I wish should have that. Elena? Yeah, it's at ibis, like ribbit. And then let's just put ibis down here too. Adlative dative plurals are always the same. They just are. The accusative plural has already showed up once. What is that, Parker?
Yeah.
Yeah, get. Never mind, it has not showed up once. The plural has showed up once. It is S. So it's the same as the nominative plural. So that's kind of like a neuter thing. Oh, we should do the neuter. Anyway, ablative singular is anyone? What is that, Luke? Not Luke, Elena? No. Chloe, you're right. It's just one letter. It's not even a long letter, weirdly. Parker? Yeah, just E. And then if it's a neuter I stem, it's actually I, but I'm not going to write that out either. And the vocatives, it's real quick. We need to do the patch update for second declension neuter. I wanted to use purple for fourth. So how about I use brown for neuter? So this is where y'all really like have to choose if you can actually squeeze this in. Don't squeeze it in if it's going to compromise the integrity of your chart. But remember, how are neuter second declension nouns different than masculine ones, Cora?
What's
Yeah.
the second letter in the E thing? That the vocative.
Oh, it's, I don't know what that is. That's it should be an S. Be an S.
Okay.
So neuters are different because they're UM in the nominative, right? Like donum, exitium, concilium. So UM. I don't know how you want to do that. If you have like some neuter color that you might want to use for second declension, you might maybe just ignore it if you think it's gonna like make things look kind of too chaotic. And then instead of long I, they're gonna have what for their nominative plural.
Wait, are we what?
I'm going back to second declension and talk about the neuters. It's only different in a few places. Neuter ones, neuter second declension. Pick an A. I would maybe not worry about that. No, it's almost like there should be its own category. Because that's the same for third declension neuters. Is that they get the A, and then an A here. Maybe you can use this little space off in the function preposition since we don't need too much space there. Just to remind yourself that we get A's for neuter, second, and third declension nouns. And then, anyway, that's it for neuter. That's really it for neuter. Okay, let's do fourth. I don't look this guy up. Check. All right, fourth. Got it. All right, what is the nominative fourth declension ending? Well, I'll go out of order. I don't think y'all know fourth declension yet, so y'all might just like not know this. Anyone? Yeah? No, it's something we've had before. It looks very second declension-y. It's actually just, it is US. That's why if you're just looking at the nominative of fourth declension, you probably won't know that it's the nominative. The plural, yes?
Isn't the letter that shows up in fourth declension, there's like U shows up every time?
Yes, U shows up every single time. Exactly. So it's the U declension. And guys, make sure you might want to label it on one of these. Just to be clear, I think y'all do know how this works, but we're doing first declension in the left box, second in the right, third in the bottom left, and fourth in the bottom right. There is like so much information. It's kind of crazy. Okay, the nominative plural is a long US. And this macron over the U is very important because you're going to want to differentiate this long US ending from the US ending. The genitive singular is also that long US ending. But that's kind of normal, right? Genitive singular always repeats the nominative. It's just in this case, like it feels like it's almost also repeating the nominative singular. Fourth declension is kind of weird, but it's not that bad. The genitive plural is not just but it's anyone. This declension really likes you. It's uum. Yeah. The dative is. Oh, yeah. I need to white out for. I like messed up the dative on this. It's ui. It's u long I. So that's very third declension-y. It has a long I, but the u is still there because it's the u case, or u declension rather. And then we have ibis. So that's the same. So there is some third declension overlap here. And then we have same as second declension. Oh, now that it's filling up, it's starting to look. If I want to back up from this, it's going to look like really bad. And then long US a third time. I'll ignore that star. I was going to put a star by them, but that'll look crazier. So this long US is either accusative plural, nominative plural, or genitive singular. That's the big overlap in fourth declension. It doesn't get worse than that, though. The ablative is just, any guesses, anyone? What do y'all think ablative is? Yeah, just a long U. Just a long U. So ablative loves long vowels. I don't know what's up with the third declension being short E. And then it's ibis. And then we'll repeat our nominatives. Long US. All right. And that's about it. But y'all are only, I think, 2 chapters away from getting the fifth declension. So fifth declension is the green here. It's kind of a combo between the second and the third. So that's why y'all need to feel really good about third and fourth. Y'all seem to do, well, no, some of y'all didn't know the third. So, but y'all did really good with first and second, so that's good. Okay. So any questions on that? Just take this thing out when you do your homework. Phoenix made a really clean cut, but you just did third and fourth. I support that, just doing third and fourth. Yeah, just let this guy out when you do homework. And then let's add the functions real quick and then we'll be done. The function of a nominative noun, Cora, is. You don't know?
Nope.
You know, Cora. It is the subject.
Yeah.
You just didn't know what I meant by subject function or something because we're rusty. It can technically do one other thing. You might think of it. Probably not. It's a predicate nominative. Sometimes something is a predicate nominative, not a subject nominative. The genitive is what, anyone? Carly? Carly, what 2-letter preposition do we use to translate the genitive a lot of the time? What preposition, 2 letters, starts with an O, preposition that we use to translate the genitive a lot of the time? Yeah, exactly. We can use of or an apostrophe s. So this kind of got cut off a little bit, but it's supposed to say, up here, it's supposed to say function preposition. That looks like a T. It's F-U-N. So if you want to write of / preposition apostrophe s to remind yourself, the dative is what, Elena? Object, yeah. Squeeze it in better than I am, because what is the preposition we use? I can throw Jimmy the ball, or I can throw the ball. So 2. And then also, y'all are starting to see dative of purpose, so you might want to write 4 if you can fit it. Every once in a while, a dative will actually get a 4. It's kind of weird. Accusative is the Direct object. There's no preposition. It just takes the verb. Ablative is the anyone under the preposition. And let's fit in all the ablative prepositions we can. Just kidding, honestly. But, you know, in, sub, day, pro, sine. And that's it. No, that's not it. I just can't think of all of them. X. All the separation ones. X, day, X. What's the other from? Add takes accusative. So if you want to, if you can fit add into accusative, add, propter, in when it's into, oh, did you say ab? Because you're right, AB. AB for ablative. These are the ablative ones. I know it's, I'm not even trying anymore to make it look nice. Add, propter, in, there's anti and post. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And then vocative, who cares? It's the interjection. Interjection. All right, any more questions before I erase all this? Yeah. So just since y'all are like you're still kind of getting used to third, and you're definitely getting used to fourth newly, just take this guy out when you do translations. Yeah. Okay. Erase it all. I don't have to do this for another class today, though I might do it for the 9th grade Latin 3. Guess how many people were in my 9th grade Latin 3 yesterday? 2. Well, 2 if you include the kid who was online. It was just McKinley. But he zoomed in one of them. I should have zoomed in 3 people, but it's cool. All right. So we have 2 chapters to review today, and then we might have enough time to do a few more Hercules sentences that are actually better prepared today than they were yesterday. Sorry about that. It's still frozen. But let's review chapter 17. This might have been, I'm kind of fuzzy on it, but this might have been like the first chapter that, no, I think this was the last chapter y'all learned before quarantine. And so really we need to focus on 18, but let's just fly through 17 really quick. I think you'll actually do pretty good with these relative pronouns. Y'all caught that relative pronoun yesterday that I thought was conjunction, so somebody's got a handle on this. But this is qui, qui, quad here. Do look to the right, those color codes, the green one that will burn your retina. It is important to know how we're going to translate them depending on what case they are. So nominative is who, which, or that, depending on if it's referring to a person or a thing. Genitive is whose or of which. I should probably write of which there. In case it's not a person, we wouldn't use whose to describe an inanimate object. Which, and then it'll be whom or still which for the objects, because we will not refer to an object as a which, or I mean as a whom rather. We will refer to it as with which, I should say. So yeah, cuius, the genitive singular is kind of the weird one. Cuius there because it switches over to C, and then dative is also kind of weird. But what declension does that I in the dative make us think of, anyone? Not really first, it's dative. 3rd and 4th now. So that's why I'm saying it's actually good for you guys to think of dative singulars as sometimes ending in long I. That actually is a consistent thing that's like worth knowing. Okay, so yeah, sentences like the man who was from Italy was my dad. They only get hard when there's no commas in the Latin to help us. But if you see a qui, qui, quad, then you probably have a relative pronoun. It's doing that weird thing where it's like freezing every time. So yeah, we don't have to go through all of these, but let's look at some Latin examples. Let's just look at like a couple. Dilogo puellum. What is dilogo puellum? Anyone? Phoenix? Not teach the girl. Dilogo is like amo basically. Yeah, I esteem the girl, and then quae, clearly the start of a relative pronoun. Clearly quae's antecedent is going to be what, everyone? Yeah, the girl probably. We're gonna like hear more about the girl. I esteem the girl who, it'll be who here because I think quae is nominative. It's just nominative. It's not like whose or whom. Parker?
Who came from Italy?
Good. Who came from Italy? Yeah, exactly. Why is it doing? It's weird. It'll start to do that randomly until I restart the projector. But I'm just gonna make it through this class, and then I have my break period, so I can fix it after that. Good. Let's not dwell on all of them, but like the man. This one's kind of interesting because this is an ablative. The man about whom you were speaking is a dear friend. Again, the commas make it like almost too easy. It's when the commas aren't there that this gets kind of tricky and difficult. You can just glance at all of those. It is important. Like, y'all know what the term antecedent means? Y'all know what I mean by that? It's a thing that relative. No, not really. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Thank you for saying that. In this case, quai is the relative pronoun. This is the relative clause. A relative clause will contain a quid and a verb. Those are the two things it has to contain. So if there are no commas and you're having to figure out where it ends, usually it starts with a relative clause and ends with a verb, usually. And then it's going to have this, it's called an antecedent. It's a fancy word. It means the thing that comes before, basically. And that is the thing that the relative pronoun is referring to in the main clause. Here, the main clause is only 2 words. And one of the words gives its own relative clause that's about it. And so we say quai's antecedent is puella. Does that kind of clear it up? And it is actually really easy. It's just, I know how grammar words are. Like, they can sound really complicated, and you're like, you just kind of like can't keep track of them. The man about whom you were speaking. Here, quo. For one thing, the relative clause here is about whom you were speaking. So it's not that it's starting with the relative clause. It's starting with the preposition that the relative pronoun is the object of. That's actually, that sound makes it sound harder than it actually is. But quo is just referring to the man. Homo. Okay. So its antecedent is homo. And then, so that's all for that chapter. Any other questions on relative pronouns? Because, like, yeah, we probably don't need to quite dwell on them. The boy, this one's genitive, so it's going to be whose. The boy whose, antecedent is the boy, whose father we were helping is brave. Again, it only gets harder when the commas aren't there. But that one is, like, underlined and everything. So, on to chapter 18. This is what was coming up a lot yesterday. And yeah, this is where I think we definitely were kind of starting in the quarantine era. We were like finishing 17, starting 18 in April. These are important. We should probably make a big verb chart, like a version of the chart we just made with nouns. Do you think that'd be a good idea? Maybe next Monday, where we try to fit in all of our active endings, all 6 tenses, and now the passive endings as well. Because they're unique endings. So the endings are right here, or, ristor, more, many, and short. They are very distinct, and most of them have the part of the OST must have sent that we're kind of looking for, if you know what I mean. This one, technically the ending is just R, and they all like the letter R. That's the 2 things. Like, they all end in the letter, well, sorry, they don't end in the letter R. They have the letter R in the ending, and they have part of the OST must have sent that we want them to have. Because second is still ends in S. That's like all of our second person verbs back in the day. Third still has the T, but it's UR after that, which is kind of weird, but it's very distinct. It's like hard to miss that. We still, instead of MUS, we have MUR. This one's really bizarre. So that's the one that really stands out to me. And then this one still has the NT that we expect third person to have. And in chapter 18, they just teach you these endings for first and second conjugation. I think you guys are going to get the ones for third and fourth conjugation, which are only slightly different in chapter 21. So that'll be something we look at in like the middle of September, so don't worry about this. But yeah, you just take the verb stem like loud or mo, nay, and then you add these endings. And so instead of like I praise the direct object, it's going to be I am praised by an ablative, maybe. If there is an ablative in the sentence, it might be the thing doing the verbing. So it's really kind of switching the way subjects work. Now verbs are acting upon the subject instead of subjects carrying out an action. And so the thing that you have to do is whip out a helping verb every time you translate a passive verb. And for first, it's going to be am, I am verb. Second, it's going to be are, you are verb. Is for third, it is verb, and then are. So kind of the same way that we translate sum esse. Y'all at least kind of grasp how that works, even if you don't totally remember all these endings. Any questions on this? Ring a bell? Okay. Because, yeah, we kept on having these present passive verbs in the Hercules reading. So these are present passive because, unfortunately, all the tenses still exist for the passive voice. Again, this is called the passive voice. So action verbs, or active, rather. All the verbs we had up until chapter 18 were active. That was when subjects verb a direct object. Passive verb, subjects are verb. And again, it's going to be are if it's third person, the second person, or plural. If it's first, it's am verb. If it's third, it's is verb. We're following still? Tell me if we're not. So I guess this rings a bell for you guys. You almost like kind of remember this pretty well. We also have the imperfect passive. Those are real easy. Those are just like the way we form active imperfect verbs, or we're like squeezing the BA letters into like between the stem and the ending, basically. But yeah, those aren't bad, right? And so here, instead of our helping verbs being am, is, or are verb, it's going to be was or were verb. That's it. Pretty easy, right? Y'all think y'all can spot imperfect passive verb endings, maybe? No? Just because you're still getting used to the normal passive verb endings? Yeah. So it'll take a second, but it's like, I don't think we can do an OS team assistant kind of thing because it'd be too hard to say. It'd be like risk tour, more mini tour, in tour. I guess it's not that bad. R risk tour, mer mini in tour. It's hard to say in tour. Yeah, but maybe we should start doing that. Future isn't too bad either. It is mostly BI. See, it's bitor, bimor, bimini. Then we have the BUNT, the bundt cake, okay? And then this one's the weirdest one. That's why I made him bold, because he's just really weird. It's BE for some reason. I guess they thought BIRIS looked really weird or something. And then it's just BOR instead of like R by itself. And this is I will be verb, you will be verb. So at least the helping verbs that we use for future are really easy. Do y'all understand how to translate passive verbs? Any questions about that? No, you don't? So yeah, it's kind of weird, but can you like see what's happening in terms of how the verb is now acting upon the subject itself? Does that kind of make sense?
What do you mean by that?
So let me break that down because that's too complicated of a way to say it. But like subjects with active verbs, they're doing the verb, right? They're like, I'm praising the student, I'm teaching the direct object. But now the verb needs to be happening to the subject. It's almost like it's flipping back onto the subject, and there is no direct object. But when you have passive verbs, there is no direct object because the verb is happening to the subject. So I might need to formalize the way we translate it a little more than this. I'm sure it's not just Elena. But let's go back to this. So yeah, like, because what would loud doe active be? It'd be I what? It'd be just I praise. It'd just be I praise. Now when we make it passive, if I add the R apparently, it's going to be I am praised. We put being in the parentheses, just ignore it. You can use being if you want to. You don't need to. You can say I am verb. The hard thing, honestly, is the helping verb that you need. Because you don't want to say I praise. If you leave out am, it's still active. It's just perfect tense at that point. So that's what it's all about, whipping out this helping verb. And getting used to that's kind of weird. But like you have to whip out am or are or is depending on what person it is. And you get that in there and make the verb the verbed form, you know what I mean? Like the verbed form, praised or warned. And then at that point, it is now happening to the subject. So you see how that happens? Like you are verbed. Not you verb something, it's you are verbed. So that kind of cleared up a little bit. Okay. And the helping verb it'll be a different helping verb depending on what tense it is. So once y'all get used to the basic endings, you want to see if you can remember the imperfect and future endings. The imperfect ones are real chill. Future is kind of annoying. But we'll get more practice with it. Like, I think chapter 21, since they introduced third and fourth conjugation, it's a way for us to like revisit passive, which is nice. It's actually like a good way to do that. And then there's like one other part of this chapter, and that is the passive infinitives. Because we saw one of these in the Hercules reading yesterday. It looks like a normal infinitive, ARE or ERE, except the E turns into an I. The last E turns into an I. And so instead of to praise or to warn, to praise or to warn, it's going to be to be praised, to be warned. Again, we're just doing the verb version of the verb. Sounds weird. And basically the verb be. And here it'll just be instead of am, is, or are. So passive infinitives. Any questions about that? That's not bad. There's this weird thing that happens sometimes. Like something was happening towards the end of quarantine where like I changed one thing in my PowerPoint, and then it would change it for all the slides, and so like some things would get really small. It's no good. Oh, here they are. They're a little bigger here. Let's look at these examples. They're already done for us. Caesar is being warned. I don't remember seeing admoneo, but it's just moneo with this prefix. So it's not that Caesar warns, it's that he is being warned, because we have the TUR, that is the third person present passive verb. So yeah, on quizzes, sometimes I'll ask the voice of a verb. And if I'm asking about the voice, that means it's probably passive. All of our verbs up until that point were active. These will be passive. You'll say the voice is passive. Turns out verbs have a voice and a mood and a person and a number and a The city is, okay. So here, the first one is they were destroying the city. Now it's herbs is going to be the subject. The city was destroyed. The city was verb passive. So the black example is active. The green example is the passive version of it. All right. Anything else in that chapter? Oh, yeah, there's like one other tiny little thing. I lied. One more thing. This is when we get the ablative of agent. Hopefully these examples are bigger on the next slide. Nope, they're not. Okay. So since the subject is now the thing being acted upon, we like the way that we express who is actually doing these passive verbs is with the ablative, and that is either going to be the ablative of agent or means. Agent if it's a person, means if it's a thing. And if it's a person, it'll be with the preposition a or of. So ablative of agent plus a, which is the same as of, it's just abbreviated basically. So let's look at this example. Kaiser a dies admonitor. Y'all probably don't know that dies is the ablative of gods, but it is. So Caesar is warned. Who is he verbed by? By the gods. Gods is the ablative of agent there. Let's see. Let's look at this last example. Herbs ab malis viris delebatur. The city was destroyed by evil men. So evil men is ablative of agent there. And if something is verbed by a inanimate object, that'll just be the ablative of means that we've had forever. And it will not have ab or cum because it's the mean ablative of means. All right, that's about it, guys. Let's look at these vocab words for this chapter. Blumen's easy. Gainus has been showing up a lot. Too much, right? We get it mixed up with Gaines Gentis, which means like clan. But this is more like origin or kind or type. Hostess is enemy, like hostile, not host. Ludus, school or game. Probitas is uprightness. So this is what y'all are going to do on your retake tomorrow. Most of y'all except for Lucy. And y'all all got probitas wrong. That's honesty or uprightness. Scientia is knowledge, that's easy. Claris is bright or clear. Mortalis is mortal. Cur is wide. That was on the quiz. Dane is on the quiz, then or next. And then we have some verbs. I think the only verbs that were, oh yeah, videor was on the quiz. That's just the passive version of video. So not to see, but to be seen or to seen.
What vocab quiz are we taking on Friday?
On Friday, it's the chapter 20 vocab. So I can show that to y'all again real quick. But because I'm in a very generous mood and I feel like I'm throwing a lot of review at y'all, does anybody want a copy of the chapter 17 or 19 quiz to study with? I don't know if you used it, but so this will be the same quiz I give you again tomorrow. Now, Cora or anybody else, could y'all hold on to it and not mark it up and then come in tomorrow and just like that's the version you use and then you do it. So just don't write anything on it, but you can use it to study. But yeah, because this way you know exactly what words I'm going to ask you about again. Anybody else? No, you don't need this one. You need how about on Friday you do your chapter 1 through 4 quiz? I want to see how much you've actually been retained. I feel like it's not any because it's like been a Latin 3 class and not the Latin 1 class. But okay, and then real quick, just to be clear, let's find those chapter 20 words and then do like a couple of Hercules questions before the bell rings. We got like 8 minutes. Where are they? They are right here. This is what y'all will be quizzed on Friday. You're going to take a quiz. It'll just be, did I say 15? I said 15, didn't I? Let's do 10. I don't want to grade that much. Let's do 10. So we'll do 10 of these words on Friday. Everyone see those chapter 20 words? Y'all know where to find them in the textbook? I think we wrote down the page number on Monday, but I didn't type it in. 164. Oh, nice. 164. what's hard here? I don't know. There's a lot of fourth declension, and y'all, but we just talked about fourth declension for like 5 minutes. A couple of adjectives right here, and then a bunch of verbs. Y'all really need to know correo. I'm gonna ask about that because it's showing up a lot. Maybe odi, since it's a weird broken verb. Prohibeo also shows up a good bit. So that's on Friday. We'll take that and we'll do Jeopardy. And tomorrow you're all gonna make up your quiz wonderfully. It's gonna be great. All right, let's see if we can do a few more Hercules sentences. Okay, I'm covering a lot of ground here. Not bad. And the computers are working. Okay, so where were we? What had just happened? Let's see, what did happen? It's all the way back here. It was so after this other deed, Hercules was liberated from the labors. After this and other deeds, Hercules. Maybe has been. So this is chapter 19 that we still have to review. We'll probably hold off on this on Monday, till Monday. But what we had here, just to review, liberatus est was a perfect passive. Okay, what we just reviewed was present, imperfect, and future passive. Those are always just like one word with the new endings, ris, tor, more, etc. But these perfect passives are in 2 chunks, and that's why that was probably that was probably the last thing we talked about before. Yeah, one of the last things we talked about in May online, if you were actually taking all of that in. But anyway, we will review that on Monday, and that'll help you feel like you actually understand all the passives. We'll do that along with doing our big verb summary sheet. But that was like has been verb, not is verb, because it's perfect passive. Anyway, we'll review that more. Now let's get back to where we were. That one, that side, and that side, and that side. And then there's that one. Here we go. Okay, who can read this out loud real quick? Later. Yeah, prime. Good. Quod autem premium et datum est. I don't think we had the word premium, but it means prize, second clinch neuter. Good. Did somebody get something with this? Probably not, right? Because y'all were done with your portion. So what is quod here? What do we think quod is? Quod. Is it a relative pronoun? Keith?
Given.
Given? I don't think it'd be given, but you're maybe not too far, Venus. Yeah, who or what? Yeah, I think it's what. So we use the quods for this, but we don't actually call it a relative pronoun. This is not a relative clause. We're asking a question. It's called an interrogative. Here it's going to be interrogative pronoun. We're asking an open-ended question. So like what, however, and then what are we asking about? Oh, wait, maybe this is an adjective actually. Yeah, I guess it is. What, however, premium est? Anyone? What's that going to be? Premium est. Seriously? Yeah, what is the reward? Or what reward, rather? What reward, however? And then est is not by itself, actually. We have another blank passive verb. Anyone? And then what verb is it from? What's our verb? I thought it was just est at first, too. It's not. Yeah, datum est. So we saw the perfect stem of do dare the other day, but this is from do. Dare. Dedi. Datum. So yes, we do mess with the fourth principle part with perfect passive and something called participles that you're going to get in chapter 23 that my 9th graders are seriously struggling with because it's really hard. But it's from datum. So datum est is going to be translated as what? Anyone? Phoenix? Not is given because it's perfect passive. It's good. Close. Because it's perfect, we want to use the same helping verb that we always use with perfect. So which prize, however, has been given. And here at E, it's not like to wretched him, it's just to him. Yeah, this time it doesn't have a confusing adjective that's throwing us off. So which prize, however, has been given to him. And then it says nullum, so the answer is nothing, nada. Freeze. Stop freezing. Good. So I don't know why I didn't make the direct object. Well, there is no direct object. Primium is the subject. Quote is going with primium. It's a neuter version of queef by quad. So I just pronounce it consistently as quad. It's going with primium. So primium is the subject basically, and this is called an interrogative adjective because these two things are going together. We're asking about something in the sentence. Okay, so whatever prize has been given to him. That's a weird place to put however. Let's just start this. Maybe we can, like Scott translate a lot of it. Qui erat fructus laborum est. So let me point to it and y'all say what you think it's going to be. Maybe, yeah, which? Fruit. Oh, well, how about this? Not which, but just, yeah, what? Maybe was, but it's imperfect was of his labor. These are both genitives, so they're possessive of fructus. Fruit of his labor. What kind of memory?
Eternal.
Yeah, lasting or perpetual or eternal, okay. In verses of poets. Good. Okay. All right, we finished it. Yeah, so we have some genitives there, and versibus is ablative. Good. Here is the actual translation. What was the fruit of his labor? Glory and lasting memory in verses of poetry. It is kind of true. As much as Hercules is hyped in Greek mythology, there's not a lot of extant, meaning existing texts that feature Hercules. He shows up in Apollonius's Argonautica, but like he doesn't show up as much as like Jason or Aeneas or Odysseus. Heck, you know, there's not like a go-to Hercules epic, unfortunately. All right, computer kids, did y'all get something out of the computer today? No, not. Oh, really? Well, maybe during essay today, maybe cook up a little bit. Y'all are allowed. Y'all can totally, as long as you can try to tell me, but y'all can use the computer. Y'all can. All right, guys, thank you. We'll keep reviewing. We'll get the hang of everything. Oh, like for yesterday? Like your QR code?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it is possible.
I asked her about it this morning. So our kid had a kid that one.
Right.
I would just go let him die and have colorful collection. He's trying to
Do not even say that.
What?
Our 4-year-old is not from his mom.
you know,
Go to like the
three-year-old in the
bathroom.
news that knew he was
Yeah,
pregnant.
okay.
Can I just say in your room? No,
Oh, like
kids can't do that.
Oh,
He knew from when he was
I like that. That's really good for us.
No,
Very.
kids can't. I watched the thing.
You had your phone on?
Kids don't even know their gender as 4-year-olds. Okay.
Well, like, I will, but
Okay, they'll be like,
so it's like not supposed to be. But just do it real quick because I have an off period right now. Do it real quick, and I don't actually know. I don't officially know.
Those kids in the video sound like they're a handful. You were like, you were saying if you can't fall asleep.
Oh no, there's literally one kid. I'm acting like it's like a problem, but I'm just talking about her, and I guess she
Oh,
knows
it's just
it.
one kid?
Yeah, it's just one
How
kid.
should like taunt people to stop falling asleep in class?
That's one girl. She was still doing it today. I don't know why she does it. Like, come on.
You should like let her fall asleep. Like, you know, Mr. Brown would let us go and fall asleep, and then he'd come up with like a huge. Like it was like the first week of school. Someone had almost fallen asleep in the middle of class. And came up with a huge binder, slapped their desk.
I don't know if I do that because I don't want to scare a kid into like hurting them, like waking up like banging their arm or something. But maybe I should do that.
Just teach her a lesson, like.
She does it performatively. I can tell she just wants me to know that she like doesn't fear. Like I get it. Like move on with your life. Like you have to have more of a personality than just like I don't like school.
Right?
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
But
Like,
anyway.
you realize that not doing school is going to get you a terrible future.
Yeah, it's like you might as well just hang in there, make the best of it, and figure out what you do like about it. Get on with your life. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna take physics. But don't tell that didn't happen. That's not a thing. Oh. This went way too long. Sorry. This is over like 20 minutes ago.